Analog horror. It's pretty solid. If you don't know, analog horror is a VHS 80s style of horror, mostly consisting of videos and series on YouTube. It absolutely blew up in 2019 and 2020, and nowadays has kinda teetered off in regards to popularity and amount of content. It was essentially the creepypasta of the 2020s. You had the classics that brought the genre to fame, the immense boom in content, and the gradual decline due to oversaturation and cliches. They aren't the exact same though. A lot of the analog horrors that are considered to be the classics in the genre are actually still really good, and a lot of the creepypastas that are considered to be the classics are some of the worst things I've ever read. Have you ever actually read the silly Squidward story before? You're telling me the first move a serial killer makes after his abhorrent crimes is to animate a full SpongeBob episode about what he did, and only for like 5 people to see it? I'd consider myself to have a hyperfixation on SpongeBob, but that might be taking it a bit too far. Anyways, this video's not about creepypastas, nor is it about analog horror videos, but rather, what analog horror as a genre led to. With the immense popularity of analog horrors like Mandela Catalog, Gemini Home Entertainment, and Walton Files, mediums outside of YouTube videos began to embrace analog horror. And this was seen most prominently in the form of video games. There are so many analog horror games out there. Maybe too many. Listen, there are some really good ones, but oh my god, so many of them are boring. But I'm not here today to whine about the analog horror game genre. Instead, I'll be focusing on getting my vitamin C. I have no clue what vitamins are actually in apples, but I do know that the local clinic wants me dead. In 2021, M36 Games released Andy's Apple Farm, an indie horror game in the style of analog horror. For some reason, among all of the random itch.io horror games I've played, this game's always stuck in my head. Was it just because I like bright and pretty colors? Could be. You play as a beta tester for a PC game from the 80s, where Andy the Apple goes on all sorts of wacky adventures, like having his house keys stolen. I see a lot of people compare this game to the Walton Files episode Bunny Farm, and while I could definitely see why they're making those comparisons, M36 Games said they didn't even know about Walton Files until after they started releasing demos. There's just a big market for evil video games from the 80s that include fruit. Ever play Q*bert on DOS? Haunted as shit, and he looks like an orange. There's a lot more surrounding this game, including a seasonal update, secret lore, and a seemingly delayed sequel. But we need to actually play the game first. Is this an analog horror game worthy of representing the genre, or yet another forgettable short horror experience? Let's sink our teeth right into it, shall we? I ate the whole damn apple for that last bit. I couldn't even save like a single bite for myself, huh? After a little bit of propaganda, you can begin the game. Like I said earlier, this is supposed to be an early build of a PC game that you're beta testing. Missed opportunity to let me use my mouse, but I guess most DOS games from back in the day only needed a keyboard, so no real issue there. You can choose a new save file and start your game. Don't choose Andy 2 though, that's not your save file, asshole. Here you meet the titular Andy the Apple, proud owner of Andy's Apple Farm. I know it's the obvious joke, but why does an apple own an apple farm? Is that like human trafficking for him? Walk around with the arrow keys, interact with space. It's a very simple game control-wise. Andy's not the only character though. Meet the Apple Gang. Felix, Melody, Margaret, and Klaus. And let me just say, these might just be the worst friends on the planet Earth. They want to play games with Andy, which is fine, but the prize are his house keys, which they stole? Andy, you can't let people walk over you like that. Klaus is the absolute worst though.
So what are you all up to today? Oh, we're just eating right now. Care for an apple?
This would be less f***ed up if Andy didn't own an apple farm. Farming and trafficking his own kind is one thing, but eating them? That's just too far. All 4 characters offer you a bonus sticker if you win their games, thus allowing you to earn your keys back. I don't know if there's a certain order to play the games in, but I think Klaus is at least supposed to be last. I think it wouldn't let me play it. I'll just cover them in the order that I played them. First up is Margaret with Sorting Game. You sort fruits by the basket. I accidentally grazed a bowl once and had to restart, but that's all I gotta say about this one. Easy bonus sticker. What's next? Don't look at me, I didn't do this! A scripted game crash takes place in a scene that reminds me quite a bit of an anti-piracy screen. Someone should make a video about those. Besides some strange stomping in the background of the crash screen, nothing of note here. The beta testing notes I'm taking are gonna be weird as hell. Then you've got Melody with Music Game, a very basic rhythm game. Let me just say, this game is very obviously a clone of Friday Night Funkin'. I mean, everybody knows that was the only rhythm game to ever use arrows and music. It's been a tough time for the genre. After Melody absolutely crushes it on the harp, I was so ready to hit the flood of notes, but before I could, the game cut to black. This is one of the big lore moments of the game, where, after exploring this snowy area, you come across a recording from the creator of Andy's Apple Farm. Something about a special monitor they're developing that makes the game more real, and then he starts on about some soul technology for the characters before it cuts back to the game. You could probably tell by now, but the minigames are just not that good. They're more so a vehicle for the lore to take place, which is fine, but then you're starting to lean more into that interactive YouTube video feel I was talking about, rather than a video game. However, when I ask you the question, what makes a video game, I know you all have the same answer. Everybody say it with me now. Fishing minigame.
More Klaus!
Who the fuck said that? Felix is up next with Fishing Game. You fish for fish, don't hit the boots. Eventually, the fish disappear and a sleepy fella is in the water. God forbid I save the drowning person though, because Felix yells at me with the power of the entire universe, and you're thrown into another lore moment. This time, it's a cutscene with a woman who appears to have an unwelcome visitor. Nothing to say about this right now. I'll try to string together the lore after the game's over. Lastly is Klaus, who offers a game of chess. Unfortunately, Andy is a loser and can only play I Spy instead. Klaus might be the worst I Spy player though, because he immediately starts with something red, when 5 separate things are red. After a few noogies, he eventually started doing better, but I think I rubbed his head too hard with those, because then this happens.
I spy with my little eye something. Jeez.
Did I give him brain damage? Once again, you're thrown into that snowy area, this time playing as Klaus. Andy chases you down with an axe, and as soon as he catches you, you turn into real people. Some schmuck named Thomas kills another schmuck named Arthur because I guess Thomas's family went missing and he's blaming Arthur for it. Also, I think this implies that the characters are real people, but after a lifetime of haunted video game lore, I could have just told you that off rip. After collecting all 4 bonus stickers, you can finally get your house key. But God forbid your friends be good friends, because not only do they put it in the super death barn, but they lock you inside the pitch black barn? Melody, I jammed with you. How could you? Might have had something to do with Andy killing Klaus earlier, but hey, let bygones be bygones. Andy is unable to see a thing. Did he bring a light? No. So you have to traverse the barn to try and find one. Avoid the other pair of eyeballs as best as you can, and come across a lantern. I don't know if this was intentional, but this reminds me heavily of the Atari game Haunted House, both layout-wise and eyeball-wise. A pretty cool reference if intentional. I also ran into this advertisement for the special computer that the one dude was talking about earlier, but let's be honest, this has nothing on the 98XX. Bet you can't even run Jumping Julian on this piece of shit. Back to the lantern, it turns out you aren't alone because in the barn with you is Peter the Pumpkin. Why has he been standing here in the dark all by himself for so long? I don't know. aura farming. Peter then forces you to play tag, once as the tagger and as the taggee. As soon as this dude said let's play tag, I knew for a fact he was chasing my ass down. And down my ass he did indeed chase, as after he caught me, we cut back to Thomas, the one who killed Arthur earlier back in the game. Thomas is watching these eyeballs that turn into a big ol' smiley face, and then I think they butcher him until he turns into Apple Farm Andy himself. I think this solidifies my theory that Thomas is Andy, but who cares about that? It's my house key! Let me just grab that real quick. Guess this means I'm locked out for the night. Where the f am I? Quick flashes reveal the identities of the characters inside the game as it comes to an end, leaving the fate of Andy and his friends ambiguous. What exactly happened within the game? What's the story? Well, we can't answer that just yet, because soon after the game came out, a free short story was released on Christmas Day in the form of a new level. Mom might want me to drive up for Christmas, but I've got lore to decipher. There's just not a whole lot to unpack here. Andy's friends come over, Felix is just here.
I'm just here, man.
You hang up stockings and bake cookies. The horror is analog. I thought Felix only had a single tooth in this scene, which kinda made me chuckle a bit. The most important thing this update adds is lore, lore, lore. Your kid hates you, your wife hates you, Klaus hates you. I mean, what kind of present is this supposed to be? Actually, Andy doesn't seem very bothered. Now, after playing the Christmas lore update, I'm gonna do my absolute best to try and connect and tell you what I think the story of Andy's Apple Farm is. No Reddit posts, no YouTube videos, no external help, just me and my big old brain. Now, if I miss some, like, secret Easter egg telling you that Klaus is 5'3" or something, please don't get mad at me, because I really did do my best to try and piece together the info that I collected and make a kind of cohesive story. So, without further ado, here is my 100% true, real, and canon interpretation of the lore of Andy's Apple Farm. Alright, so right off the bat, Thomas is Andy. I think we all know that. Thomas is also the creator of Andy's Apple Farm and the fancy computer it runs on, as evident by the recording we hear in the snowy area. But how exactly does he turn evil? Satan's how he turns evil. I think that the new technology Thomas refers to for making characters more lifelike is some sort of ritual or paranormal device used to infuse souls into the characters. My evidence for this is that scene at the end of the game where Thomas appears to be summoning the giant smiley face, and then when Thomas's kid talks about his scary face. That's a possessed Thomas if I've ever seen one. Why exactly does he go on a killing rampage after this, though? It was either the requirement to get the souls into the game, or the demon/spirit possessed Thomas and did it against his will. I genuinely don't know. Part of me wants to think it was the possession because the game constantly says, "What have I done?" and all that jazz. But on the other hand, Thomas seems to be going insane when he's murdering Arthur, aka Klaus. If it was Demon Joe doing the killing instead of Thomas, I doubt he'd be saying all of this stuff. Anyways, I think he successfully kills Arthur, his kid and wife, and whoever that one girl was in the fishing cutscene, and they all get transferred into the game. Lastly, Thomas definitely transfers himself into the game, or the demon does it to him unwillingly. We see him get Andy'd appled after the smiley face appears, so that's why I think this is what happens. And that's my little theory. But wait, who's Peter the Pumpkin then? The demon, maybe? Since he's all like, "Oh, Thomas, I know what you did." And how about all that funeral imagery? Surely that implies that it wasn't just an instant mass killing from Thomas, and it was more of a gradual process. Was Thomas actually the murderer, or was it this demon all along? We know Klaus is Arthur and Felix is Thomas's kid, but then who are Melody and Margaret supposed to be? What was with the body in the lake? Was that Felix since it was his minigame, or an entirely different victim? I somehow missed a cutscene where a house burned down. Did Thomas do that, or did Arthur? Why is there a Windows 10 blue screen on a computer from 1983? I don't think I understand the lore. I'll stop there for now. There's apparently a game called Rabbit Knight which also holds some lore for the game, so if I missed something super major, might have been there. Even with extensive lore, this is a game first and foremost, but is it a good game? It's alright. The game definitely does some things pretty well. The concept of a haunted PC game might not be unique, but this game still fits the role. It reminds me a lot of those old educational MS-DOS games with the colorful characters and simple gameplay. Now obviously a DOS game wouldn't actually look like this, but the art style does a pretty decent job of matching the part. Some motions are a bit too fluid, but at that point, I'm just nitpicking. I also like the sound design a lot. Simplistic, sharp sounds with almost every action taken, on top of crunchy, jarring sounds for the horror to contrast. I like the character designs a lot, the lore seems to make sense, and there's some good groundwork for a sequel. Will said sequel actually come out? Not a damn clue, but the groundwork is still there. But for everything the game does well, there's something it doesn't. Most obviously is the gameplay, since there really isn't much to be seen. The game is fairly slow, fairly generic, and fairly short, especially when it comes to the minigames. But with the minigames, that's kind of the point, so you can't really knock it for that. Another big one, in my opinion, is that there just isn't much to the horror aspect of this game. The horror is predictable and a little standard. Loud glitchy jump scares, melted faces, vague lore. Once you get a taste of the horror at first, you immediately know what you're in for the rest of the game. Speaking of lore, it's fine, don't get me wrong, and from what I was able to piece together, it was pretty solid. But did it need to be secret and hidden and cryptic? It's not just this game, it's almost like every indie horror game these days feels the need to have purposefully confusing lore and hidden Easter eggs that you need to go out of your way to decipher and piece together. And don't get me wrong, having a mysterious story you have to use meta elements and secrets to solve can work, but a lot of the time it just feels unnecessary. There's nothing wrong with having your whole game be digestible within the regular game. Including tons of little blink and you miss it moments or codes you have to decipher on your own makes me feel like I won't be getting the full experience of the game unless I record and replay the game a bunch while analyzing every little detail I see. But this is definitely a me thing. I know for a fact a lot of people love this type of horror game, and that's great. I'm glad people enjoy deep diving into fun little games like this, looking for codes and reversed audio and whatnot. I'm not saying it can't be fun or cool, I'm just saying that a lot of games seem to do it when they really don't need to. I'm looking forward to seeing Chapter 2 if it comes out, because from what I've heard, it sounds like the next chapter is more ambitious. Regardless, M36 Games clearly has a lot of talent under their belt, and I'm looking forward to any horror projects they may pick up in the future. I know horror game devs can make things other than horror, but I like my scary pumpkin, sue me. Actually, now that I think about it, where are my house keys at? Hello?
If you wish to find your keys, you must follow me into my scary barn of doom.
Sure.
Are you serious?
How am I back here? How am I breathing? This is not an area conducive to human life. I should be dead right now. And what about this asshole? Is he gonna be gone anytime soon? Do you have a job? Do you have a hobby?
Getting fit and funky, is that your desire? Get down and boogie till you catch fire. Dance and shake the soul and makes